Okay, everybody, here we go. It is me, Gregory Menarino. It is Friday, March 24th, 2023. People, just as we expected to see you and me, despite the nonsense, the garbage, the distractions and deceptions, this contagion issue is spreading to the larger banks. Deutsche Bank right now is getting slammed, along with a few other ones as well. Look, we could sit back here and look at this picture as we always do on a macro scale. And I'm telling you, and we've explained this, we've talked about this right here. There is no way on this earth, off this earth, or anywhere else that these major institutions aren't in exactly the same boat, if not worse, than the smaller regional banks. What do we know? What have we covered for at least 8 months? No deposits, no loans, no deals, a world economy in free fall. And these large institutions, just to remain profitable, all right, in this kind of an environment, they have to take risk. So with that said, we can only begin to imagine the liabilities on their books. Now, the Federal Reserve is providing hundreds of billions of dollars, pumping this into the banking system, and it's worse than that. Look at the 10-year yield this morning. It's 3.30. Enormous amount of debt buying is going on. Again, what are we seeing? Exactly what we would expect to see in this kind of an environment. They are trying desperately to foster that illusion that you and I have talked about hundreds of times over the past, just several weeks here, trying to prop up the debt market to fool the market into believing that there is some kind of stability here. So we have a plummeting 10-year yield. The dollar on a relative strength basis is higher. Okay, no surprise to anybody that follows this blog. From I don't know how long ago, we covered right here how the relative strength of the dollar, that is comparative strength, would remain high and more than likely go higher. But that does not mean, again, it does not mean that the dollar is stronger. Okay, this is a comparative value that we're looking at here. On an absolute basis, the dollar continues to die. Henceforth, while you're seeing inflation. Now, let me explain this to you in case you don't know. Maybe you don't if you're new here. But again, the system is crumbling around us. This is a systemic issue. There's no outlying issue. What did Powell try to convince us? Fed Chair Powell thing, vomitous mass. He tried to convince us of a couple of things. That this Silicon Valley Bank was an outlier, which is a complete lie. Okay? It's not an outlier. This is obviously an issue that has not involved only just the regional banks, but the big banks too, okay? Again, it's just a distraction and a deception between Janet Yellen, between Powell, between politicians to try to convince you. Again, they have to dictate your life to you. You're not allowed to think for yourself in this whatever environment we're in. It's some kind of freak show Twilight Zone on an unprecedented scale here. And you have to ignore what your own intuition is telling you. Let me tell you something, people. All of us here have a God-given gift. It's called intuition. All right? Listen to that little voice in your head that goes off because it's real. Okay? This is a gift from the Almighty here. And people know the truth when they hear it, okay? This is something I got from Greg Hunter when him and I were real close years and years ago. It's the truth here. People know the truth when they hear it. So when you have some kind of authority figure trying to tell you something that you know in your heart is wrong, well, of course, it is wrong, period, all right? But there's going to be no accountability here. We're hearing echoes of the last meltdown. Everything's going to be fine. Things are going to be contained. Now, Moody's, again, I want to tip my hat to Moody's rating agency because yesterday they said this issue doesn't look like it can be contained. Okay, this is not going to be contained at all. This is going to spread. It's going to require, actually, there's no amount of cash that can be pumped into the system that can fix it. All right, there's just no way it can be done here. but they're going to attempt to at least keep it propped up long enough for mergers to take place, a consolidation of the banking system. That's what they are doing. Believe me here, okay? And they're going to try to cover it up. They're going to say, okay, with other things. They're going to fill the news airwaves with nonsensical things to keep people distracted, to keep them looking over there when they should be looking over here. The fact of the matter is there are bank runs going on right here and right now, these regional banks, and the Fed is pumping hundreds of billions to cover withdrawals. Did you hear Janet Yellen yesterday? Oh, don't worry. We're going to make sure deposits are protected as well as withdrawals. Again, that First Republic Bank rescue, it was never a rescue. It was sold to the people as a rescue. All it was a plan to cover withdrawals as there was a run on the bank. And now we're seeing this spread to the larger institutions here. It's, again, look, no surprise to you, no surprise to me, or anyone else who follows this blog. Look at the titles of my videos a few days or a week prior to when this whole thing came to light with SVB Bank, and now this thing is spreading. I said there was a systemic meltdown taking place, and that's exactly what's going on. This banking issue is systemic. It's built in, and it is going to get worse. And this is, again, not something that you and I missed. We knew this from at least 8 months ago. No deposits, no loans, and no deals. Anyway, on the economic front here this morning, durable goods orders continue to fall. Now, on the back of this issue with contagion now clearly spreading, stock futures are lower. Dow futures, last time I looked at them, were down by about 300 points. But again, that's not really what you want to be looking at. It's this incredible action in the debt market, enormous amounts of effort going in to keep rates low, buying more debt here to try to foster some kind of sense of stability for which there is none. The entire system is insolvent. The entire system is bankrupt. The entire system is toxic. And it's coming down by design to consolidate power. Period. That's what this is all about. And the effort that is going in of being floated out through the mainstream to try to assure people that everything is fine. They can't tell people the truth. Imagine, for example, I don't know, Janet Yellen, Powell thing, some other freak would come out here and say, hey, we got a real problem in the banking system. It would just, people would be running to these institutions to withdraw their cash. To put it where? Into one of these big banks, which is in the same boat as the smaller institutions. This guy has been explaining to you for how many years? Get your cash out of these institutions. Only keep what you need in there. The rest of it tuck away somewhere under your mattress, bury it in your yard. I don't know, something along those lines here. This thing is going to get much, much worse, people. I just want all of you to be ready for this. So on the back of stock futures being lower, on the back of the 10-year yield getting plummeting here, on the back of the relative strength of the dollar stronger, the MMRI did come down. It did come down as we would expect here. Now, it still remains in a high-risk zone. Look, this market, who knows what they're going to do. The Fed has a trading desk, and they buy large cap stocks to prop it up. This is called the plunge protection team. It's a real entity. Look it up for yourself. The Fed has a trading desk. They don't frolic in front of it. They don't have parties in front of it, which they might, but they buy the market. Okay, central banks buy the market to prop it up. That's what they're trying to do to foster that illusion here of something that people's money is safe in here. But no, look, this thing is coming down, and we're going to get a rebound effect in this debt market that people aren't going to believe at one particular time. And this may be the beginning of it here, watching them come, the 10-year yield down, then all of a sudden, boom! Don't be surprised to see a massive snapback here because this is going to take everybody by surprise, except for you and I, because you and I realize where we're going, how this is set up, and what is going on. We know what the end game is. We know what the goals are of central banks, to be the lenders and buyers of last resort. Why do you think that they're right now involved in probably the biggest currency swaps that we've ever seen in history? Central banks are swapping currencies with each other. The Federal Reserve continues to dollarize central banks around the world here. Why do you think this is happening? Because this is a really great environment, because it's very liquid, as the Fed continues to pump hundreds of billions of dollars into the system, and you haven't seen anything yet. It's going to be in the trillions, and it won't matter. It's not going to be enough. We don't have any idea of the liabilities on these institutions' books, especially the mega banks. It's in the trillions upon trillions upon trillions upon trillions. And then you want to add in derivatives, it's in the quadrillions, okay? The system has become too toxic. We are hitting that moment of maximum saturation that I have coined. That's my term. If anyone else is using it, it's mine, okay? I heard a couple of people are using it. From you guys and girls, oh, Greg, this guy or this girl, and they're allowed to use it. I want people to use those terms, but again, what does it mean? It means when the system becomes so toxic and so overloaded with debt that we start to see this meltdown here. But again, don't lose sight of the fact that this is all deliberate to consolidate the banking system and to, again, bring about the largest transfer of wealth that has ever been seen in the history of the world. Forget about what happened last time. That was nothing compared to what we're seeing right now unfold, and this is going to get wild, people, wild. What else I want to talk to you about? Again, who's going to pay for all this? Let's just leave off with this. With the hundreds of billions, soon to be trillions of dollars pumped into a dying zombie system, who's going to pay for all this? You are. I am, in the form of surging inflation. And look, again, look, the game, the lie, this epic falsehood that has been forced upon the people of the world. Those central banks are raising rates. They're raising rates because they want to control inflation? No, because they want to make credit less available to the regular guy and regular girl and crush them under surging inflation, food inflation at a 45-year high, rising at its fastest pace in 45 freaking years. It's not just this issue with the banks here. It's systemic. It's involving smaller, mom and pop shops that are being erased to fulfill the corporate agenda. Don't you see what I'm talking about? Speaking of the corporate agenda, I watched a show yesterday, a documentary called Dog Fooled. They took the word food, F-O-O-D, and added E-D, fooled. Watch this. You want to see how perverted and twisted the corporate agenda is? Watch this, even for yourself, all right? They're poisoning us to death. They're poisoning our animals to death here so they can also be put on all these medications and stuff. These animals are suffering the same ailments that people are because we're feeding them poison. The food that they're feeding us is poisoned so they can enrich the big pharmaceuticals who get government subsidies to do it. Imagine my shock here. The government is supplying big pharma, they've been doing this forever, with subsidies so they can poison us all, so they can get us on some kind of prescription drug. What a system we have, people. Where's the rebellion? Where's the revolution? Nowhere. Maybe it begins here, okay? Because I've been telling you, we are the resistance, okay? And knowledge is power. All right, look, I will see all of you at the end of the day for my live stream, 1:05 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I hope to see you there. We'll cover more of this later. Keep your eyes on what's happening here, okay, with this banking contagion, because it's getting worse, just as we would have expected it. I'll see you later.